short ribs it is today. I was going to wait on this, but I saw these wonderful looking short ribs at the store, so I could not help myself. I went for it. I decided to do them two ways for you. First is the more traditional method, and second is kind of an experiment. Both ways have a roadhouse type twist at the end, which I like a lot with cheap cuts. Anyways, people might blast me for not doing a quote, proper braise on these, but there are reasons I do it the way I do it. My experimental way was to show you that you do not have to sear cheap cuts in order to get an amazing result. Since I wanted both ways to be done at the same time, I slowed the traditional way down just a bit. I'm going to start by showing the traditional way first, even though I started with the experimental way, because that takes a little bit longer. So I'm kind of showing this in reverse, but you get the idea. Oil goes on the ribs. Then season them with salt and pepper. I took a garlic bulb and cut it in half, and then rubbed the ribs down with it to get some intense flavor that will be seared into them. A hot pan with a small amount of oil, then in goes the ribs to sear on some color. Also in goes the garlic. Yeah, that's a lot of garlic for 2 ribs. Make yours how you want. Once they have a bit of color, a scoop of tomato paste goes in. You have to cook the tartness out of the tomato paste. Then I pour in some cheap red wine. Yep, I said cheap. It will be fine. Simmer it down. You're reducing about halfway. Normally you would leave the ribs cooking with the wine while it reduces by half the entire time, but because I was timing it to be done at the same time as the other ribs, I didn't want to cook them too much here. I just pulled them out once they had some color on them. All I was looking for was to get some color on them at this point. After the wine was reduced, I put everything into a pan. I used some beef stock to wash the rest of the reduction into the pan. Then added more beef stock until the ribs were almost covered. Usually you only pour enough stock in to bring the level of the liquid up about halfway, and then when they are done in the oven, all you have to do is strain the liquid out, and that is your sauce. I put in a lot of liquid, as you can see, but I knew I would be reducing the sauce at the end. It's more work this way, but I wanted to keep the methods as consistent for timing reasons here. You can yell at me in the comment section below, but as far as I'm concerned, it's all about flavor in the end, and I really don't care if I do things a little differently. Then I put in a whole bunch of fresh thyme, foil lid, and into the oven. Now here's my experimental short ribs that I had started first. Don't hate me. Ribs go in a deep pan. No sear on these. Oil, salt, and pepper. Yes, the liquid will wash off most of it, but it will be in the sauce. Brown sugar, chicken stock. Good quality maple syrup. Bourbon reduction. You have to make this. It's easy. Take a pan, pour in some bourbon, and cook off the alcohol. It will thicken into kind of a syrup. Just don't burn it. So bourbon reduction goes in. Then the weird part for most of you. Coffee. Yes, I said coffee. Plain black coffee. It should tie together the flavor of the beef ribs with all these flavors that I would normally use with pork. And then some white pepper. Topped it off with a little more chicken stock, foil lid, and into the oven. I went with a 275-degree oven for about 3 hours. When it was getting closer to the ribs coming out of the oven, I made an awesome garnish. Fried onions. Onions get cut up however you want, then egg wash and seasoned flour. The seasonings were paprika, salt, granulated garlic, cayenne pepper, white pepper, and this smoky rub that I have also. I'll put a recipe for the seasoned flour on the website, which, by the way, go check it out. Send me an email or something. Hopefully I have a bunch of cool stuff on the website by the time I upload this video. I've got a little deep fryer here, then just deep fry the onions. And put them aside for the end. Then I made some incredible shiitake mushrooms. Chopped up bacon and in a pan. Cook the bacon off, drain half the grease before throwing in the mushrooms. The bacon seasons the mushrooms wonderfully. Crack in some black pepper. I tasted these and they were phenomenal. Absolutely amazing tasting, and they will be a nice contrast with the heavy wine sauce. I also cooked some bacon off extra crispy and then minced it up very fine to go in the bourbon coffee rib sauce for the experimental method for some extra flavor and texture. So, when the ribs were done, the liquids from both batches get strained into separate pans to reduce. With the traditional method, take that garlic and smash it through the mesh and get that into the sauce also. The sauces were coming along nicely, and everything seemed to be going so well. Wait, what's he doing? No, he can't be. No, wait, somebody stop him. Wait, no! Yeah, I'm joking around, but the truth of the matter is I broke the sauce. I wasn't paying attention to it, I was paying more attention to the other sauce, and I let it go too long without stirring it, and I should have turned the heat down, and it broke. So one of the tricks of the trade is to bind it up somehow, so I took the mushrooms and I tightened the sauce up with those. Sacrificed the shiitake mushrooms to save the sauce. So there you have it. I might not ever be the same though. I mean, it was pretty traumatizing. I had nightmares for a while. The therapist prescribed me an emotional support animal, so now I have to take care of this hamster. I mean, it was a long road ahead. It took me at least a few hours to get over that. But it still tasted good in the end, so all is well. Let's see how this ends.